It is real estate reality time, and I'm so excited. My guest, Lisa with SNAP, is here, and we are going to talk about natural hazard disclosures today. And I know everyone thinks that's probably really boring, but we're going to make it really fun.
Exactly.
So, Lisa, thank you for coming. And also, before we get started, the Fine Home and Estate event, ribbon cutting, and brand launch is coming up in a couple of weeks. And Lisa is one of my sponsors. And thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. We love supporting you. So
It's going to be fun.
Yes.
It's going to, I promise, whoever comes, it is going to be an amazing, fun event. And you won't be disappointed. So it's going to be good food and maybe a little bit of wine and champagne and community. And so everyone be sure and come. So let's start out with, for someone who doesn't know, what is an NHD?
Yeah, most of the general public, they don't know what an NHD is, right? It's a natural hazard disclosure. It is a report that is required in all real estate transactions. So anyone who buys a house, you have signed one of these. And it explains if the property is in a flood zone, a fire zone, of course, the earthquake zone and landslide, different things like that, or potential flood. Also kind of goes into taxes, Mello-Roos, if the property has a Mello-Roos, and airport influence area. There's actually a lot of information in these reports, so they are very important for the transaction to go smoothly.
Well, absolutely. Now, how about with insurance companies? Is it something that the insurance companies go to? You know, there's the whole big insurance issues with everything. Do they rely on natural hazard disclosures, or do they have their own stats?
Yeah, they kind of go their own direction. I mean, it's helpful to have the report to be able to show what zones it's in and what is on that property or what's going on with that property. But as far as it helping with insurance companies, not so much. They kind of are their own entity, so they have their own standards.
I see. Okay, so they don't use those reports.
Correct.
And then, so what makes SNAP different than all the other natural hazards? Are they all the same?
No, there's definitely differences. So, every company provides the information differently, right? So the whole structure of the report is different. Some of the information in it might be different. The simplicity of the report between different companies is definitely different, which is super important because, like I mentioned, the general public they really don't know what this is. And if you're getting a report that looks like it came from an attorney, it's hard to understand.
It is scary. It's a very long report.
It is. Well, luckily with our company, with SNAP NHD, it's about 40 to 45 pages. It is very easy to read and understand for your clients, which is what's most important, right? We need your clients to be able to read it. And
we got to dummy it down.
Exactly. And it's funny, I don't like to use that term, like the whole Microsoft for Dummies or all those things. But I'm like, well,
real estate for dummies.
Yeah. But it's.
Don't get your real estate license and read that book.
No. So, but it's it's like that. It is all the pertinent information that is specific about that APN is in that report, and it's easy to understand and read. So,
okay. So, what is the most important thing in that report? So, in the whole report, what's the most important section? Do you think if somebody really needed a quick just needed to find out the pertinent information, where would they find the most important information in that whole report?
In our report, we have a snapshot page, and that snapshot page is going to show you the different things that is in. It'll say in or out. And so it'll show you the different things that are in. So those are the things that you will want to go to the table of contents and click on and read. It's also going to tell you if the property is in a flood zone, a fire zone, or if there's Mello-Roos on the property. Those are the most important things, right? Because those are the things that can affect a transaction.
Correct.
So knowing right away if those properties are in one of those zones or if there's a Mello-Roos, and knowing that at the time of listing or even before is so important, so that all potential buyers know this and all buyers agents know this, so they're not showing homes to clients that maybe they wouldn't be able to afford.
And you can do your homework with the whole insurance thing, because now with insurances and who's in California, who's not in California, if you can get an NHD from your agent, which you need to order right when you take the listing or prior, then your potential buyers can have, they know right up front.
Yeah.
Like, it does sit in a flood zone, or it does sit in this zone, that zone, and then you can do your investigation on your insurance.
Right. Gives them time.
Don't wait till the end of a escrow to find out if you can get insurance.
100%.
Like, you need to do it right up front
Exactly.
these days.
And there's no risk with SNAP NHD, because once we send you the report, we leave you alone. So if or when it closes escrow, great, wonderful. We're not going to hound you for that. So there is no risk for agents. They can get it, they can get all the information they need, and then, like you said, buyers are able to do their side, where if they know they want to possibly pursue this property, then they can do their investigating with different insurance companies to see possibly who's the most affordable on the insurance side when it comes to fire and flood.
Now, I know I already asked, are all NHDs created equal? But now, is there a point where some, like maybe SNAP puts a property in a flood zone, but maybe another company's NHD, it doesn't show it in a flood zone? Are you guys all the same as far as the results?
No, and I can say that because I've actually witnessed that situation happen. So I can actually say that no. So sometimes in our situation, if the structure, being the home, is in a flood zone or isn't in a flood zone, let's say that the property owner did what they needed to do to get that home taken out of the flood zone, that doesn't mean that the property around the structure is out of the flood zone. So when we report it, it's going to show that the structure is out of the flood zone, but the property is not. Because if you have a 1 to 2 5-acre piece of property and somebody's wanting to build an ADU or a barn or whatever it may be, they need to know that whatever they're building is going to be technically still in the flood zone. So I've had that situation come up, where it was that we were reporting the wrong information when in fact we were actually, it was beneficial for these people to know that the property is actually still in that flood zone, just that home, just the structure is not. So yes, there is definitely differences. You definitely need to do your homework and see,
And like we said, even if it says it's in or out, the insurance companies may have a different. I have a property in Madera right now, and the NHD says they're not, but their insurance company still says no, you still are. Because sometimes, as I understand, they can move.
Yes. Yes, and that can happen. You can actually have somebody come out and do an inspection, and there's specific people for that, and they will come out, they will do their inspection to the property, and once they're done with their report, they send it to FEMA. If FEMA says, okay, yeah, this structure is actually not in the flood zone, then you will get what's called a LOMOC letter, which is, where the map is changed for that specific home, so that it was taken out. So,
and that's the same with fire as well, correct?
Yeah, fire is a little sticky. So,
yes, I'm sure it is right now, yeah.
The maps have changed as of March 10th. The maps changed for our area. So that has been updated in our reports, and there are certain areas, that were in a fire that may be in a little bit more of a lower moderate, or some that may now be in a higher. So fire's a little sticky. It's one of those things where insurance companies, it's tough. It is tough, and that is definitely something you want to know right away, so that if somebody is really wanting that home in that fire zone, they have the time to search out some different insurance companies, or of course the California plans.
Right, so that it's probably good. I know in my listings we'll attach it in the MLS for the buyer's agents to go on and provide, disclosures or documentation to the buyer prior to maybe making an offer to see if it's something they can do.
I mean, that is something that I preach to all my clients. I'm like, please just order it early, attach it to your listing on the MLS so that buyer's agents can see it. Yeah. I mean, I call them, if you have the buyer on the budget, right? You need to know if there's something in that NHD.
That's right.
Because a buyer can pull out of a deal, if you waited till escrow, let's say.
Or the middle of escrow.
Yeah, or the middle of escrow. Gosh, we don't want that to happen. And that's when the NHD came in, and that's when the buyer was able to see it. If they could pick anything in that NHD and pull out, it's a 3-day right of rescission, right? So we don't want that to happen.
Right, and you don't, agents, you don't, or buyers, you don't want to waste all that time and paying for appraisals and inspections, and then to find out after all that, now there's a problem with insurance. I mean, it's really, I think now that's why they've added it on the purchase agreements, where, it's a full contingency, So, so very interesting. Yeah. We're getting deep on these NHDs today. Okay, people?
I mean, there's really some interesting stuff in there. I'm not kidding. I nerd out every once in a while. But I mean, it's like, it's fun just to go through it, kind of just see what's in it. I always say there's key points. So if you're a new agent, what do I look at, right? Well, of course, you're going to look at the snapshot page. But look to see if it's in a flood zone. Look to see if it's in a fire zone. Look to see if there's a Mello-Roos. Because something as simple as a Mello-Roos can actually bump a buyer out of being able to afford that property. Correct. So that's a tax, right? It's added to the property tax. And so, if again, maybe a buyer on a little bit of a budget, their mortgage person might say, I'm sorry, you don't qualify for that because it's a tax that's added to their property tax. So Mello-Roos is super important, and go ahead and check the environmental section as well, because I've had situations with that, homes being in certain areas and it coming back later that they didn't know that they lived or that the home was by a turkey ranch or
a prison
or a foster farms or a prison. I mean, there's all of
nothing
that.
wrong with that, but if I'm just saying, if
you really want to know some stuff, and it's amazing because buyers will be so blinded by stuff like that. When they actually see the house and they fall in love with it, they will be so blinded.
That's
by
not the
what's
sexy
around
part of a house.
No.
Okay?
Exactly. No. So you got to know those things. So check those out too.
You can't turn a blind eye, people.
No.
You have to be prepared.
No, you got to be prepared. Yeah.
Well, good. Yeah. So what do you do? What's a day in the life of your business?
Oh my goodness. Well,
besides this kind of stuff.
Right? No, this is fun. This is great. It's wonderful. It's wonderfully busy. I have to say, I do lots of classes on the NHD. Because there's lots of different subjects to do it on, and I love teaching. So I do that. Lots of office meetings, one-on-ones.
Socials.
Lots of socials.
Parties.
So many
teas.
Socials, parties, teas, golf, that I love. I love going to those type of things. It's very busy, and I travel a lot too because my territory is very big.
You do have a big territory.
I mean, I can cover anywhere basically in California, but my territory is, Fresno, Madera, Kings counties, the Central Coast, and then now I am starting in Kern County. So I'm so excited to get out to Kern County and get to.
So you'll be even busier.
Yeah, but it's good. I mean, I enjoy it. It's easy to do what I do when you work for a wonderful company and when you have amazing people that you work with. And as corny as that sounds, it's true. Yeah. I mean, I am absolutely living proof. So
you have to love what you do.
You do. And I love it.
Especially if it's a crazy industry, and real estate, which is always changing industry. So
absolutely. Yeah. You definitely.
But what
have to
else would we do if we didn't work?
Right.
Shop. Spend money.
I know. Things that I probably shouldn't be doing, but
Yeah.
So it keeps me in line. Kind of. Anyway, unless I go to the coast,
As much as we can,
As
stay
much as
in
we
line
can.
and
There
stay
you go.
sane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much
You're
for coming to see
welcome.
me today.
Absolutely.
And
Thanks for
come
having
see
me.
us on April 3rd.
Yes. It's going to be fabulous. Anything that she does is fabulous. So,
Well, I love a party.
yes.
Everybody knows that.
It's going to be great.
All right, everyone. Have a good
Thank you.
week. Bye.
Bye.